Welcome to the New School of Marketing podcast, the place for smart, simple strategies that will amplify your business results. Sharing practical tips, insider knowledge, and actionable advice because marketing is something that every business owner can do. Now, let's get started. Introducing your host, Bianca McKenzie, mum, lover of snow sports, camping, horse riding, and in-demand launch strategist and Facebook advertising knowledge bank.
Welcome to the New School of Marketing podcast. I'm Bianca McKenzie, and today I'm talking about building processes to increase your bottom line with Lauren June. Lauren started her first business while trapped in a cubicle and dreaming about a better life for herself and her clients. She spent her days fixing issues she knew she could have prevented if she'd just gotten to work with the client earlier. So she started on an ancient laptop with a clip art logo, and within 18 months, she was the owner of a thriving practice. Sounds pretty cool, Lauren. We've known each other for a little while, and welcome to the show. I'm really super excited to have you on here. I was literally going to dive straight into it, but let's introduce you a little bit first. Welcome to the show. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you. I've been a long time listener, and as you said, we have known each other for a number of years now, so it's exciting to be able to have this chat.
I know. We even shared a house for a little while. Like 5 nights on a retreat.
That was so much fun. We had a beautiful retreat, and it was so overwhelming turning up and not knowing anybody. And I still remember standing there going, I can't get into the building, and looking over a fence. And I think there was you and Sam coming to save me from being stuck outside all night.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that crazy fence thing. I think everyone had trouble getting in, but we all did, which is awesome. And then we had a beautiful house and a pool, and the rest is history. We have known each other for so long now, and you're like my go-to person when it comes to business systems and processes. So I knew that I had to have you on the show. So can you tell the listeners a little bit more about what systems and processes are in terms of small business?
Firstly, thank you. That's always lovely to hear. Okay, so systems and processes are the foundation of our business. I always like to explain it as they're the recipe for our success. What we do when we're going to bake a cake. And even if you bake a cake like me using our family recipe, which is called Betty Crocker, I start by looking at the recipe on the back of the packet so that I understand the process of creating that cake. What are the steps that it's going to take? Well, I go and turn the oven on. I grab a mixing bowl, add the dry ingredients, the oil, the egg, a few tablespoons of milk. I think that's it. I grease the pan and I mix all the ingredients and pop it in that pan, and then I put it in the oven for 23 minutes. And at the end of that, out pops a delicious cake. Now, we might not have always had the recipe for our systems and processes in our business, but we can create them and we can tweak them, because I know after playing with my oven and using the recipe for creating that cake, that I actually turn the oven off after 18 minutes and let the cake sit in there for another 5 minutes, so it's just perfectly cooked and a little bit moist still in the center. Our systems and processes are just like this. And as we start to grow our business and scale it, we develop processes, the methods that we use to do certain tasks. Many of these are actually subconscious, but one of the secrets to building successful and profitable business is to take these subconscious processes and make them conscious, document and refine them. And that means each time you do the task, like creating a launch for your next product, you spend less time on worrying if you've done everything, and you get more done in the time that you've got, and you are able to show up more and sell more of your product. And because of this, you'll have a tried and tested recipe for that launch to repurpose and reuse in the future. That's what a system process is.
Love that. It's always good to have analogies because, sometimes it's like, don't know, sounds like a different language. And like in your intro, I kind of read a little bit about, being stuck in a cubicle and things like that. But what really made you get into this area of business? Like, well, because I can totally imagine, I cannot imagine anyone, at the start of their career go, I'm getting into business processes. So how do you roll into this?
It's actually really interesting always hearing about people's journeys. I actually started running a bookkeeping practice. I was 24 years old, and I'd been working in a multinational accounting firm for a number of years, and that was in country WA. And after a couple of years working there, we were coming back to Perth to live. And when I got back here, I had decided that I was going to start my own practice, because during that couple of years up in Geraldton, I spent a lot of time fixing people's accounts. They were awful. And it used to break my heart, because the pressure from when your accounts are out of balance and you're not understanding where you are financially, I'd seen people die, and divorces and depression, like the follow-on for what that can cause is just horrific. So I wanted to come back to Perth and get into a position that I could help people never to go through that again. And I thought, if I could do their books and train people into knowing and understanding their numbers, then it would help them not to get into that situation. But what I quickly learned was it wasn't just about the finances, it was how the businesses were being run. So after a couple of years of running the practice, I ended up with an offshoot to the business, which was my consulting. And with that, I would work with people on how to systemize and automate their business and create processes so that they didn't have to get ripped off and they didn't have to constantly be trying to work out where things were at in their business. I was giving them the power of choice to be able to make and manage their business. And what it really started with was I was working with a client, and one of my highest values is and missions is to be able to empower women to have choice. And that comes from, I was working with a client and she had brought me in to review her books. She couldn't understand why she wasn't making money. There was always cash flow poor, and she knew she was selling a lot of product, and she was doing really, really well. And every time she tried to talk to her husband, who was looking after the finances, they would end up in a fight, and it was just, she couldn't be bothered dealing. So she paid me on the side to come in when her husband was away for the weekend to come and have a look at the books, because she wanted to know and understand them so that she could not have to keep asking the questions and feel more empowered. And the problem was, I found out by looking at her accounts that he was taking money out of the business and putting it into another account. And we'd found out that he'd been doing that for a number of years. And it came down to he had another partner and he ended up divorcing her, and she never got that money back. Mm-hmm. I want women to be able to have the understanding to run their business and to know where things are. I don't think you should do it all, but I think you should know how things are running so that you're empowered and that you can make that decision. You can make that choice on that next step in business and not rely on other people to be making the decisions for you.
Yeah. Love that. I love that. It's always, I love it when there's like a driver behind what we do, isn't it? It's like brings that passion out. So you've already said a few things, making more profit, automating, making things easier. Those are probably a few of the reasons. But why do business owners need to focus on systems and processes, like in terms of that, and what will it do for them? Because I know there's so many benefits to it. And like, I feel like I'm asking for a friend, but no, really, I'm asking for myself too.
How many times do I sit there and say, you just need a process for this? We just need to systemize, we need to automate. Processes are the foundations of our business. Like when we cook that cake, we need step by step of what we're going to do to create repeatable actions in our business. One of the biggest things, especially when we're starting out, we go from a job and we might be working in the corporate, and all of a sudden, and we're really good at what we do. Whether or not, like, this was me with bookkeeping. I was really good at that side of things. But then there was the shock of running your own business. You go into business and you're like, I know what I'm doing. This is great. I can do my thing really well. And then you sit down at your desk for the first day of being full-time employed and you're like, oh, hang on, I just need to send a client an email. for that proposal. I don't have that because that's not in my business. When we're in corporate, we have all these systems and processes in place. That's how we keep doing our tasks, and our bosses know that we're doing the things over and over again, and we're doing it the way they want. And then we sit down in business and we've got to recreate all of that for ourselves. And a lot of business owners don't know that they should, and they don't know how to do it. So what will it do for them? Ultimately, it means that we start to create more consistency in our business because tasks are getting done repeatable and they're getting done the same way over and over again. And it also starts to give us confidence in our business because we know what we're doing. We don't feel like we're just like throwing spaghetti at the roof, waiting for it to stick so we know that it's ready. We know that, that we do certain tasks on certain days. Like one of the things that we spoke about before we pressed record was a process, an action that I do on a Friday afternoon, which is to set myself up for the week ahead. On Friday afternoons, I have Financial Friday to date with myself. And I sit down and I look at my bookkeeping and I make sure I go through that, reconcile the bank, follow up on any debts that are owed to me. Once all that's done, it's time to celebrate and go off for the weekend. But before I step away from my desk, I back my computer up, I charge my keyboard and my mouse, and I clean my desk. Now, last week was not a great week. In WA, we were under lockdown, we had cyclones coming, we will have fires. That didn't get done. I didn't do the process. And 15 minutes before we're coming on this call, my computer comes up and tells me my mouse is going flat. So I'm like trying to desperately charge it so that I can click the link to be able to book on our call. And that's stressful. And because I hadn't done the process, yes, I can forgive myself for it. It's not a biggie, but because I hadn't done that process, I'm now looking at my computer going, oh my gosh, I haven't backed it up. My keyboard and my mouse, I need to make sure I charge them when I have lunch because I've got a meeting straight afterwards. Like it's just another thing, and it's another thing in my head, and it adds stress to the day, and I just don't want that.
Yeah, it throws you off a little bit, isn't it? When you, yeah.
Exactly. And my goal in 2021 is to only be working 25 hours a week. So these little things that when I don't do them right, or I forget about them, they add more time to my day and they extend it out. And this is the great thing about processes and systems and automation is it gives you time back. So 25 hours a week is totally a doable thing for me because I've automated and processed all of the business.
Yeah.
I've just got to actually pay attention to those processes.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That's always the thing with me. It's like I've got them, but sometimes it's just easier to just, I don't know, keep going or something. I don't know.
It's a foundation of our business.
Yes.
We can have them there. It doesn't mean we're going to be perfect. And that's one thing I want people to realize. Like, just because I talk about this and I love it, it doesn't mean that business is perfect all the time because #reality. Mm-hmm. But it does definitely simplify things and it allows me to show up confidently and know that when I have a discovery call with a client that I can onboard them without even having to worry about it. I press a button and it's done. And that's pretty awesome. And it gives my client a user experience which is exceptional, and that's what they deserve.
Yeah, I love that. So on top of saving time and making things easier, I know you also talk about systems and processes for profit and making money. How will it make someone more money?
It's why we're in business, isn't it? Systems and processes are the foundation of what I do. It is the tool that I use to help my clients. But ultimately, what I do is actually create a profitable business. And we do that by implementing systems and processes so that from marketing to onboarding and to offboarding our clients, the reason why it makes more money in our business is because processes are the foundation to a lot of elements in our business. To be creating a saleable product, to creating consistent marketing, to creating an exceptional customer service experience. Because when we create really good systems and processes in our business, it means that they are consistent and people know and understand what they're going to get and how they're going to get it, and they get it delivered. I really sometimes think that we should have a drinking game of how many times I can say systems and processes in a podcast. But considering I went into 2021 with a rule of I'm not drinking alcohol, that probably doesn't work anymore. But it is the other reason why it helps us to make more profit in our business is we create less mistakes. How many times have we screwed up and it's cost us money?
Yeah.
Like, I'm putting my hand up. I've done it. I've learned it. And especially when we start out, it's going to happen. And you can forgive yourself because everybody goes through it.
Yes.
But the way to prevent it is to create a process to stop that from happening.
Yeah.
It means that we can be more productive because instead of having to like recreate the wheel over and over again, we know the steps, we know the recipe to do certain tasks in our business, whether or not that is scheduling a blog post, creating a YouTube video. If we have a workathon process in place, we know that we're going to do it the right way and we don't have to be kind of in a fluff trying to find all the things that we should be doing.
Yeah, I love that. And in a way, I guess the saving time can be, making you more money, because if you save more time, you have space in your calendar to do other things and potentially take on another client or more clients or create a course or something like that.
It also means, though, you can outsource easier. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember when I was explaining to a client years ago when I was still running my bookkeeping practice, she was asking about my bookkeeping and I said, I don't do my own bookkeeping. And she was shocked at me as the boss of my business and as a bookkeeper and accountant, like, why wasn't I doing my own accounts? And I had to explain to her, I charge out myself back then at $65 an hour. My bookkeepers that I paid were getting $35 an hour. So the difference was $30. So it was cheaper for me to do the work for my clients and pay somebody else, and I still made $30 an hour. And that's why creating processes allow us to outsource certain tasks like VA work, setting up your blogs, doing those things that, yes, you can do, but you shouldn't necessarily do. You can outsource to somebody else who runs a business, who is needs the work as well. And you can pay them probably at a lower rate than what you're charging out to do the work. And you can concentrate on doing the important things in your business, like being the CEO, working with clients, doing the marketing, showing up and being present.
Yep, love that. So if someone doesn't have any systems, and I say that like doesn't have any systems, I know they probably do, but they may not have documented them. Like I had stuff in my head for a long time. I knew exactly what I needed to do for each thing. Mind you, if you keep it all in your head, you do forget. What is the best place to start without getting overwhelmed? Because that's the thing that kept kind of stopping me. It's like, yeah, I can write all this stuff down, but it's quicker for me to just do it. It's all in my head. And I was just getting overwhelmed when I was thinking about writing systems and processes. Like I had to have, like it needed to look a certain way or be a certain way. I just kept getting overwhelmed. So what's the best place to start without getting overwhelmed?
Start small. It doesn't all have to be done today, and it doesn't have to be done perfect. Our systems and process are ever evolving in our business. Like we're growing, so are our SOPs, our standard operating practices. I normally suggest to clients that if they're wanting to go down the route of organising themselves, to grab a notebook and put it next to their computer, and for the next week to 2 weeks, every time you do a task, ask yourself, is this a repeatable action? So is this something that you do every week, every month, every quarter? And if the answer is yes, write down what the task is called. That might be set up blog. And what that means is we start to create basically our index of the systems and processes that we should be doing. I don't want you to be thinking like going out and start creating all of that content right now. It's just about understanding what are the repeatable actions that you're doing in your business, and then creating that index so that then you can start to develop it out. And then so if I was then going to, after a couple of weeks, I've got this one page of all of the things that get done in my business. The easiest way to get started is probably just to open a Google Doc and to write that index and then start writing the step-by-steps that you're going to do. But one of the things that gets really stressful for people is that, like, where do I do it? How do I get people to use it? Most of my processes and systems and everything are all organized in Asana. It's a project management system. It's basically a list, and you can put dates and you can apply things to certain people, and it manages your tasks. Now, I create templates in that Asana so that I can duplicate the process for every single task that I do. So I have a template for a blog. So every time I want to write a blog, I click on the template, I click on duplicate, type in the title, and then it has the whole process of what I need to do to write the blog. It's a checklist.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a freebie. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
If you go to asana101.laurenjune.net, you can actually access like a video I use to show you how to use Asana for your business. But as I said, like, start small, one process at a time, create your index. And then if you sat there with that Google Doc, and maybe one of the things you do on a Friday before you finish with your Financial Friday is you start to say, okay, I'm just going to document one of these processes. I'm going to go through and do the task and take the step-by-steps on how to do it. And I'm going to document that. If you've got the foundation, which is your Google Doc, it can grow with you and you can test and tweak it over a time. It doesn't, and especially when you're starting out, I say this a lot, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to start getting those things out of your head and into a place so that you can review, test and tweak. And this is important for things like when you're doing a launch or you're creating blogs. You can always go back, do the process, and then work out how you can make it better.
Yeah.
You might do keyword research for your blog, or you might decide that instead of a 6-week launch that you do an 8-week launch so that you can start with your list building and pay for your Facebook advertising a little bit earlier. Those type of things. You can always test and tweak. And that's how you start to grow and scale your business, because you're starting to do things that are allowing your business to grow further by doing, better conversions and that side of things as well.
It's like you're taking things out of your brain space, that you're freeing up your brain space, because it becomes a task that you don't have to think about as much. Like it's in a checklist, it's right in front of you. And I think this is how I started looking at it. I'm like, everything is just a checklist. Like SOPs and processes, they're mostly just checklists, which steps are involved. It's like tick, tick, tick. And I have very much a shambles of processes and systems. Some of them are in Asana, and some of them I honestly just started recording videos of how I did certain things, and I gave that to my VA and to my staff. It's like there is no documented as in written process. It's like, here's a video of how I do it. I now have someone who's helping me document these processes so that, they're not just in videos. But yeah, like you said, start small. And I think, start with what works for you. For me, that was just recording. It was like I felt like I was not losing time because I was doing it and I was recording it. I'm like, okay, cool, done, tick.
I've done big projects with big corporations, and I work mostly with small businesses. But, video recording is probably one of the easiest ways to get started. And if you go into my Asana, as you say, I've got tasks set up in checklists so that there's all the different steps, create Google file, check, do keyword research, check, like that's it. But I have a video. I use loom.com. It's a free video recorder that you can install on your Google browser. And that is connected. All I do is I put the URL for that video in each one of those tasks. in the template, so that if somebody doesn't know how to do it, they click on the video and there's me going, hey, this is how you do this particular task. Some videos are 4 or 5 minutes long, some are 30 seconds. But it just means that I don't keep getting asked questions because that takes up time. But, you know, this is what we do in massive corporations as well. I've been contracted in to do big projects for people, and we videotaped, get this, how to make the director's coffee. Because, you know, one of the pain points for the company director was nobody could make his coffee as well as him. So every single time he'd go into a meeting, he'd have that awkward moment of, gosh, is this coffee going to be good or is it going to be absolutely rubbish? So we got our iPhones and we had like a little plug-in microphone, and he talked through how he made his cup of coffee just the way he liked it. And that meant when we onboarded a new assistant or receptionist, she could go through an onboarding process. So this is all what your job is, including how to make a coffee for the director's meetings just the way he liked it.
Love it. I think that's fantastic. And yes, video, you know, 2 birds, 1 stone kind of thing. It worked for me. So awesome. I don't drink coffee, but actually, and I wouldn't work with a virtual assistant. No such thing as a virtual coffee. But it would be good to
maybe teach your hubby when we're all working from home during these crazy times.
Oh, my cup of tea is pretty easy to make. I don't drink coffee.
This isn't a bad idea. I like it.
Yeah, actually might work. Maybe I can teach the 3-year-old too, the almost 3-year-old. No, not a cup of tea. Too hot. So now that we know how we can sort of get started, what are the 3 most important systems and processes to have in place for a business? Just, you know, in case someone is wondering where to start, what 3 things do they really have to have? There's more than 3, but yeah.
There's always more than 3. But the 3 main ones are actually the foundation of my program, Profit Streams. So one of the biggest issues I see with business owners is that we keep getting told all of the things that we should do. And you know, we might do a course on Instagram, we might do another course on Facebook, and then we do one on how to build a website or blog. And the process of bringing all of that content together can be quite difficult. So that's why I've got Profit Streams. It's a process. Funny that. So I'm going to cheekily put in another one here. We need to have a process for providing service to our clients. So what is it that we're going to be selling? If we're going to be selling, like what you do, Bianca, Facebook advertising, you need to have a process to actually do that, to make the outcome happen for our clients, because that is a saleable product. It's something that becomes repeatable. You might have to test and tweak it for your clients, but it becomes a repeatable action for them. The other process that we need to have is marketing. How are we going to market ourselves? What's the strategy? What's the process that we're going to do for that? Then we need to look at onboarding our clients. Onboarding our clients is the start of building a trusted relationship. It means that we're going to deliver what we promised to our clients, and we can do it consistently and make sure that they're getting the best outcomes. And then finally, once we've onboarded them, we've provided the service, we've done all the things with them, we want to offboard our clients. Now, on average, it costs $100 to onboard a new client into our business. So one of the reasons we can be more profitable is by creating raving, returning, and referring clients. And we do that by creating an offboarding process. I have a 5-part offboarding process that I work with clients, and it means that 9 times out of 10, most clients have the option to continue working with me if they need it. They also rave about me, so they refer their people that they know to me and say, you've got to go talk to this person. And they also rave about you online because you've given the option, and part of Offboard, they're the ones sitting in Facebook groups or writing posts or bringing you into podcasts and saying, oh my God, I love this person. Please, if you have this problem, you need to have a conversation with them. So pricing and packaging, marketing, onboarding and offboarding.
Love
They're
that.
four pretty big processes, but
Yeah.
they are what are going to help create a profitable business for you.
Yeah, and a really good customer experience, which contributes to all of that. So I love that, and definitely still work that I have to do there. I have bits and pieces in place for all of them, but I know that I can do better and I can do more. And I love that you said that, you know, you can always improve, and there's like, it doesn't have to be perfect straight out. So, and for everyone listening, I have been in business for a long time and I still don't have everything perfect and in place. So, but I think starting somewhere and having some of these processes, especially the ones that at some point you might want to outsource. So, for example, like all of my blog uploads and podcast uploads and all of that process, like I do the recording, but all of the other bits and pieces get done by someone else. And yeah, having a process for that is super handy. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it without it because my team wouldn't know what to do. So, and it is really handy with Asana where you can go, okay, well, this task gets outsourced to this person and it needs to be done by this time. And then having the videos of this is how you do it. It's really, yeah, that's kind of how I started. And I think I was overthinking it for too long, Lauren. I definitely was. So
I was going to say, this is why I keep saying, like I say, start small. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just start with step one. Don't freeze and don't not sell things in your business. Show up consistently. Do all the things that you are doing already, but just start to tweak and add in. And even if that's your goal for 2021 is to systemize and process your business, then that's a great goal to do over the next 12 months or 11 months.
Yeah, it's and even just it might not necessarily be systemized process your business, because to be in business, there has to be some processes and systems already. Just get them out of your head.
Exactly. But the one thing I hate to see, it breaks my heart, is when people think that it all has to be perfectly running and everything has to be streamlined and as if you've been running it for 5 years from the day you start your business. And that is rubbish. You don't have to be that perfect. Like, it'd be great, but start small. Start with one process a week and just start to develop it. See and do that audit and write down all of those things in your notebook and start to see what you might already have and document and tweak and do those things. But don't stop doing business because you think that you have to wait until it's all perfectly in place, because I can tell you, it doesn't matter and it also doesn't matter whose business you go into. Nobody's perfect. Mine isn't perfect. There's a list of things that I still want to get better at systemizing and automating and that side of things. So if you think it's perfect, they've just got a really good filter on their Instagram post.
Yes. Oh, I didn't start. I honestly let it stop me for so long not hiring someone, because I was like, I don't have systems. I don't and then at some point I went, all right, this is just silly. Sit down. Even if you just record it and you don't necessarily have it in like an Asana task, just record it, what you want someone to do for you. That's a start. And I did it. I hired someone and it worked out fine. So, and it's just kind of weird because I do have templates in Asana, but because I feel like it isn't perfect and it isn't like it's documented in all these random places, I was letting it hold me back, and I just went, no, that's it. I'm doing this. And yeah, you kind of, what is it? Leap off and build the plane on the way down kind of thing. And it works.
Look, I share all my processes that I have. If you go to shoplaurenjune.net, all my processes for like my webinar, my launch, my podcast, YouTube, blogs.
Yep, love it.
Something is there. They're all on sale there for like less than $100.
Yes.
And they've all got videos. If you want to use somebody else's,
yep. Start with Lauren's. Yep.
grab them. But most importantly, and I say this in the videos, these are a foundation. Test and tweak. What does it look like for your business?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's heaps of ways you can get started outsourcing, but just don't overwhelm yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you have to start with, a checklist, start with a checklist. If you start with a video, start with a video. Just do
I love checklists.
what you feel. Oh, checklists are the greatest. They're the best. My actual to-do list is a checklist, and it's awesome when I can just tick things off.
Yep. Perfect.
It's the best. Awesome. Well, I hope that gives everyone enough to get started with. I have 2 more questions for you. What are you curious about right now?
What am I curious? Okay, in business, I'm curious because I'm loving Clubhouse.
Ooh.
I really am enjoying unfiltered conversations, sometimes in my pajamas.
Yeah.
I'm loving, I do YouTube videos and Facebook Lives and everything, but there's something raw and honest that I'm quite interested in Clubhouse. And it's interesting to see how it's all going for certain different business owners. And I'm curious to see how it's going to develop over the next 12 months.
Yeah.
Whether or not, I remember back to Periscope, that was the thing for.
I know.
And I think they closed it last week.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I was on it for a while, but I haven't used it for years.
Nor have I. So I'm interested or curious to see how is it going to live up to the hype. I'm enjoying it. It definitely has been quite good for conversions. So it's a lot of fun too. And the fact that you can do it in your pajamas.
I know, you don't have to
fabulous.
brush your teeth or do your hair or your makeup. It's awesome. Love it.
Exactly.
Great. Well, and if anyone else hasn't really jumped on Clubhouse, I did an episode recording with Kate Toon a few weeks ago about that. So that's another thing. If you had an extra $1,000 in your marketing budget, what would you spend it on?
Now, this is not sucking up to you. However, it would totally be Facebook ads. Facebook, Instagram, paid advertising.
Yeah.
I can do it, but as I say to people, just because I can doesn't mean you should. And so yes, I can do it. I don't normally do it very well. So I'd rather that's something that I need to start outsourcing. Yeah.
Yay. We all need extra money in our marketing budget, I reckon. Well, that's the end of this week's show. If you have any questions about building systems and processes, head to laurenjune.net and definitely shop in Lauren's shop. I have a few of your things and, oh, God, if I don't have to start from scratch, I love it. I'll happily pay for that. And a really big thanks to you, Lauren, for being on the show. Love talking to you, as always.
Thank you so much.
And thanks to you for listening. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you heard the podcast. Your review will help others find the show and learn more about the amazing world of online marketing. And don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode at newschoolofmarketing.com, where you can learn more about Lauren, check useful links, download free resources, and leave a comment about the show.